Hey guys, so today I'm here with my March wrap-up. I actually read 8 books in the month of March, which is really good. I hope I can keep this momentum going. I've been reading like a lot of books every month, which is great. I had a couple breaks this month, so I got a lot of time to read. Let's go ahead and get started. First book I read in March was Anna and the Swallow Man by Gabrielle Savitt. This book follows a young girl named Anna. During World War II, she's living in Krakow, Poland with her father. One day her father is taken and she meets this mysterious man who she calls the Swallow Man, and they basically go around Poland trying to avoid being captured as well. I have to say, I was a little bit disappointed by this book. I was kind of expecting something different than what I got. It was a good story. I saw that it was set in Krakow and I got really excited because I was in Krakow last year and it's probably one of my favorite cities in the world, and I was really excited to see a book that was set in Krakow, but it was only set in Krakow for like the first 20 or 30 pages. And there wasn't any more of it, and I would have liked to have seen more of Krakow. And I know that's not what the book was about, but I think I had different expectations of this book than what it's actually about. But I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Next I read Princess in Waiting by Meg Cabot. This is the 4th book in the Princess Diaries series. I've been making my way through this series because they're super short reads and they're just a lot of fun. This one was not my favorite in the series, but it was a lot of fun reading. I love Mia and her adventures and her dramaticness, and I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. And of course, like everybody else, I read Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I got it on the day it was released, and I read it over spring break, and I loved this book. If somehow you've been living under a rock and you don't know, this is the first book in her new series, The Dark Artifices. It's set after the Mortal Instruments series, and it's set in Los Angeles, and I loved this book. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil the other series for you, but I'm sure you've all heard of this. It was a really, really good start to the series. It's going to be hard for it to top the Infernal Devices, but it very well might. I have to say, I did dock a half a star just because it was a little slow going in the beginning, but I loved getting back into this world. I loved the new characters, Emma and Julian, just the best. I loved all the side characters. It was just so good. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I cannot wait for the sequel. Next, I read The Lies About Truth by Courtney C. Stevens. Courtney C. Stevens also wrote Faking Normal, which I read last year, and it was one of my favorite books of last year. So I was really, really excited to pick this one up. This is about a girl named Sadie who is in a car accident which kills one of her best friends, and she's badly injured, and has scars from the accident. And it's about her trying to deal with the loss of her friend and her new appearance with scars everywhere. And I really, really liked the message of this story. I was super excited to read it, but I had a really hard time connecting to the characters, and a lot of times if I'm reading a book and I can't connect to the characters, then I don't like the book. It was good, it didn't live up to Faking Normal, and I think I had way too high of expectations going into it, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Dream Things True by Marie Marquardt. I'm pretty sure I butchered that name. I am so sorry. This book follows a girl named Alma who is an undocumented Mexican immigrant living in Georgia, and she meets this boy who is the nephew of a senator, and it's just like a Romeo and Juliet kind of star-crossed lovers story. They get together, and then it's just trying to deal with everything that's going on with her being an undocumented immigrant. I really, really liked this story. It was a really good story, very well written, and I gave it 4.25 out of 5 stars. Next, I read A Night Divided by Jennifer A. Nielsen. If you don't know, Jennifer A. Nielsen is the author of the Ascendance trilogy, which the first book is The False Prince, and it's been going around BookTube a lot lately. I read it when it first came out, and I loved it. And I found out she was running a historical fiction book, and I was like, well, I have to check it out. And I loved it. It's about a girl named Gerda who's living in East Berlin, and one day her father and her brother go over across to West Berlin to look for work, and while they're over there, the Berlin Wall gets built and their family gets separated. 4 years later, Gerda's walking along the Berlin Wall and she sees her father across in the west, and he's doing a little dance, and she thinks, oh, I think he wants me to dig across the Berlin Wall and rejoin the family. It's all about her and her brother who are trying to dig this hole under the Berlin Wall and reach freedom. And I have to say, this was a very, like, intense book. Like, I could not stop reading because it's so, like, the whole time you're just, like, scared that they're gonna get discovered or they're not gonna make it. And I just flew through this book, and I thought it was really, really good. I've never read a book about the Berlin Wall before, and it was great. I've always been interested in that part of history, but I just have never really read anything about it. And I thought this was really, really well done for her historical fiction debut, because she usually writes fantasy. And yeah, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend it. And the last book I read in March was Princess in Pink by Meg Cabot. This is the 5th book in the Princess Diaries series. This one was one of my favorites. Mia was dramatic as usual, but she's just hilarious, and there was just a lot of really funny things that happened. I was laughing out loud, like, several times in this book, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait to keep reading the series. So that's all I read in March. What did you read in March? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye!